sure there's somebody out there who wants to go cross-country with the whitest woman on the face of the earth, singing Carpenter songs and reliving childhood memories, but it ain't me. Hey! That's my car!
Life hasn't been easy for Jade.
Get out of the car!
Men have always been a mystery to Robin.
I'm the one who spent 3 years in happy hour and never went home with anybody except the bartender.
Hey, babe.
And Holly falls in love every day.
Is it me, or is she working her way down some weird list of guys who call women babe?
They had nothing in common,
I'm not going over a cliff for you two, so just forget it.
but an appetite for living and their need for a home.
I'm 8 weeks pregnant.
Please tell me you're kidding.
Well, isn't it nice?
This has got to be the mother.
3 women who put an end to secrecy.
Jane's been so great to me. At first I thought she just liked me because of the whole gay thing. Jane's gay. Like, hello.
She's a black lesbian and she's living here?
And create a world of intimacy.
I don't know what it is, but there's something that goes on between women.
Whoopi Goldberg, Mary Louise Parker, and Drew Barrymore. In a story of loyalty and trust. Safety in numbers. Women on top. And boys on the side.
It's funny that they bring up Thelma and Louise and Fried Green Tomatoes because you would honestly think that this is another one of those type of films. This is a film that somebody tried to cash in on the success of those movies. And while there are definitely a lot of elements of both of those movies in here, the movie overall is actually kind of fun. It's actually kind of an enjoyable film. It is a more original film than you would think. It's a film that mostly works because of the chemistry between the 3 women here. Whoopi Goldberg, Mary Louise Parker, Drew Barrymore. You really like seeing them together, and you really like seeing them go on this adventure together. And it's an overall enjoyable film. I was actually very surprised by this movie because I'd heard about it for the longest time. I never really wanted to see it because I didn't think it was going to be anything all that interesting or engaging. But, yeah, I was honestly surprised by it. I was actually really surprised by what I saw here. It's the last film directed by Herbert Ross, who did Footloose, Pennies from Heaven, Steel Magnolias, My Blue Heaven, True Colors, a lot of movies we've talked about on this show. And it is a pretty enjoyable film. It's an enjoyable movie that works mostly because of the lead actresses. They work off each other very well. A pretty good supporting cast, too. You've got Matthew McConaughey in here, who plays a guy named Abe Lincoln, which I think is kind of amusing. James Remare, Anita Gillette, Estelle Parsons. Just an overall solid cast all around here, and it is a very enjoyable film. The emotional moments feel earned. There's never any real serious melodramatic over-the-top moments in here. Everything feels genuine. It's a very nicely made film. It's a real little surprise. I did not really expect a whole lot going into it, but I'm glad I saw it. It's not one I'd probably watch over and over again, but it is an enjoyable film. I'd say definitely check it out if you really have a good mindset to it. You can definitely find a lot of enjoyment in it, so that's Boys on the Side. Let's move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is The Jerky Boys, the movie.
Caravan Pictures presents the motion picture The Phone Company Doesn't Want You to See.
Hey, Jerky!
The Jerky Boys, the movie, rated R, starts Friday, February 3rd at a theater near you.
Watch this.
They're quirky.
Oh, my hemorrhoids are killing me.
They're perky.
Oh, silly little freak.
And they're jerky.
Lizzo? Yeah, that's right, Sizzle Chest. Hey!
The Jerky Boys, the movie, rated R, starts February 3rd.
You know how Disney made the It's Pat movie and it didn't work mostly because it was kind of a one-joke premise and it didn't really amount to a full feature-length film? This movie kind of has the same feeling to it. I mean, the Jerky Boys can be very funny in small increments. When you're trying to make an entire movie focusing on them and the comedy that they're involved in, it doesn't really stick that well. It's not really all that funny. It's not really all that engaging. And despite the best efforts that this movie has, this movie's kind of a letdown. I mean, I really went into this movie thinking it was going to be something a little bit more funnier, a little bit more cleverer, or a little bit more satirical, maybe something on the lines of Beavis and Butthead Do America, or even something like Dumb and Dumber, where the smart guys are really the stupid people involved, while it's the complete opposite the other way. And it doesn't really do that, and it really, I think my biggest problem with the movie is that the jokes really don't work out to a full-length feature film. It felt like a film that was really, it needed a better script, maybe a better comedic mind to make this work as a feature-length film, but on the whole, this movie really doesn't work that well. And it's a shame because you got so many talented people involved in the supporting cast. I mean, Alan Arkin's in here, Vincent Pastore, William Hickey, Alan North, Ozzy Osbourne's in here. The talent is there, just the comedy just isn't. It's a film that I was really let down by. I thought this was going to be a whole lot more funnier than it should have been, but really it wasn't. It's a movie that really is a major, major disappointment on so many levels. So that's the Jerky Boys movie. So let's move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is Sam Neill in John Carpenter's version of In the Mouth of Madness.
Absolutely mad.
The riots began because the stores could not meet the demand of Sutter Kane's novel, In the Mouth of Madness.
Kane disappeared 2 months ago without a trace. He's the guy that writes horror books.
You can forget about Stephen King. Kane outsells them all. I need to know if he's alive or dead, and I need that book.
It's a setup. I just have to work out how it's set up.
Kane's writing has been known to have an effect on his readers.
See this? It's a map.
This whole thing has been staged.
You just get out.
This is not reality.
It's all happening for real, Trent.
Comes out next month.
This may honestly be the most underrated movie of John Carpenter's career. I mean, this is a film that did not do very well financially or critically when it came out. It's had this cult following over the years, and I think it needed that cult following to really get people to appreciate what this movie was trying to do. I think this is a very underrated horror film, written by Michael DeLuca, who wrote The Mask, and actually started his career writing some really bad horror movies like Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare, but this is a really, really damn good movie. I mean, Sam Neill just kills it in this movie. He's incredible in this. He's given a great performance. Great cast overall. Jürgen Prochnow, David Warner, Charlton Heston in here. And the movie just plays with your mind so much. You get so invested in what's going to happen at the end of this movie. This is what a good mystery should do. It just should keep you on the edge of your seat all throughout the course of the film. That even by the end of it, you really don't know how this is going to turn out, but in the end. And when you see what happens, it's like, whoa, you guys really went there. And it's just like, I don't think it went as harsh as it wanted to go to. I think it meant to go a little bit more crueler and more darker, but for what they had to work with here, it does a pretty good job of keeping you invested throughout the course of the film. It's just, it's an insanity test. It's a legitimate insanity test all the way to the end, and it's just a wonderfully made movie. This is a film that really is ahead of its time. It's a terrific film. Like I said, it's the most underrated movie I think John Carpenter has ever made. He's made a lot of great movies, but just an underrated film. If you haven't seen In the Mouth of Madness, definitely check it out because it is really one of his most underrated films. So with that said, let's move on to the next movie, and that is The Secret of Rowan Inish.
Grandfather!
Great to see you. On the northern coast of Ireland.
Why did we have to leave?
Haven't they told you?
Tell me what?
There is a secret.
Jimmy!
There's a seed that brought me here. Between land and sea, there is a place. There it is. Where myths are real.
Rowan Inish?
Aye. The Secret of Rowan Inish.
It's a wonderful story.
A new film by John Sayles, rated PG.
So the story is basically centered on the Irish and Orcadian folklores of Selkies, seals that could shed their skins to become human, and the story is basically set on the west coast of Ulster in the northwest of Ireland, about a girl named Fiona who is sent to live with her grandparents and her cousin near the island of Rowan Inish. They find that these Selkies are rumored to reside there, and so it's a family legend that her younger brother was swept away in his infancy and raised by a Selkie, and it's basically, the movie basically follows that type of a story, and that's really all I know about it, because I've never seen this movie before. I've heard about it, I just never really got around to seeing it, but I heard it's got some good reviews to it, so maybe one of those little underrated family films that kind of comes out, nobody really ever talks about it, but you really got to look for it, and this really has a lot of potential to it. I mean, I see a lot of creative ideas that could be coming from this, directed by John Sayles, who also did, we've looked at a couple of his films before, Passion Fish, we also looked at City of Hope, he also did 8 Man Out, just a really good underrated director, and I think this is a film that might be one of his little underrated gems, but like I said, I can't really comment on it too much because I haven't seen it, but there's definitely a lot of promise there with this film, so anyway, Secret of Roland Enish. So let's move on to the last movie that we have here, and that is the documentary Martha and Ethel.
Picture that audiences and critics nationwide have fallen in love with. Meet Martha and Ethel.
Martha was my mother.
Martha and Ethel is an intimate film portrait, unlike anything you've ever experienced. It's the story of two unforgettable women, the families they cared for, and the lives they changed forever.
I was really at Martha's mercy. She would wake us up in the morning, give us the German bathing treatment.
Gene Siskel applauds this remarkable film as fascinating.
Ethel was there to supply us with love, acknowledgement, attention.
I felt as if I was part of a white family.
USA Today calls it exceptional.
At night she called me, Mama.
Sneak previews Jeffrey Lyons raves Martha and Ethel is simply beautiful, deeply moving.
The confusing part is, should I love my own mother more?
And a host of reviewers across the country praise this unique motion picture.
You look good. You look good, too.
A smash hit at the prestigious Sundance Film Festival, every home should have a Martha and Ethel. On video now exclusively from Columbia TriStar Home Video.
So here's another one of those movies where, actually, I was about to say it was hard to find this movie on Wikipedia, but as I'm looking at the Google page for it, it's literally right there, and I completely missed out on it. But I haven't seen this movie, so I can't really say too much about it, but I can just run down the plot of it. You can pretty much tell what it is from that trailer there. It's basically telling the story of two women in their 80s, a German Catholic woman named Martha, and an African-American woman named Ethel. They're the former nannies of this director that made the documentary and the co-producer. It's basically following their background and hiring into New York families. The children of these two are now grown up. They reflect on how Martha and Ethel played roles in their lives, and there really isn't a whole lot there. It's kind of it kind of sounds like a simple documentary, but it could be a decent documentary. I mean, there's a lot there that could actually work. It's a G-rated documentary, which is something I rarely see with these type of films, but I don't know. Could be something there, but nothing really more I can add to it because I haven't seen it, so at least I know there's a Wikipedia page for it now, because when I looked for the trailer for that, it's not on YouTube or anything. I had to go to Vimeo to find that trailer right there, and I couldn't even find anything on Wikipedia until just now as I was recording this, so anyway, that's all I really have to say about this one, Martha and Ethel.
Suntan lotion is good for me.
He was born into privilege.
Oh, really, Ford? Really?
And stood to inherit a fortune. But for 27-year-old Billy Madison, there's just one problem.
How could I hand over my company to someone who couldn't even get through school?
That's nice.
Billy is not an idiot.
Give me one more chance. I'll prove I can take over. First grade through 12th grade, all over again. And then I get to take over Madison Hotels.
You're on.
I want you all to meet Billy.
You want some more of that? I didn't think so.
Don't you think it's a little pathetic that just because of who your father is, you get to come to school all over again?
Yes, I do.
I think he's retarded or something.
Good morning, class. So let's all open up our Reading It's Fun books to page 69.
69. Where's Billy?
He's in school, man.
So what's it like being back in school?
I don't know. I kind of feel like an idiot sometimes. Although I am an idiot, so it kind of works out.
Universal Pictures presents
Norman and
invasion of England?
1066.
That is correct.
Adam Sandler.
I am the smartest man alive!
Spanish Armada.
1466. 67.
Billy Madison.
1469. 1514. 1981.
God, give me the answer!
So you might find this kind of surprising, considering that everybody considers this one of Sandler's best movies, and the film became a big hit at the time financially, but as the years have gone on, it's garnered a cult following. But honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of this movie. I mean, it's not a bad movie per se, and it certainly beats the crap out of some of Adam Sandler's more recent comedies, I should say. He has made some great movies as of late. Uncut Gems and Hustle was pretty good on Netflix, but I don't know. This one just doesn't really work for me as much as I would prefer his other movie that he did after this, Happy Gilmore. Like, I think that's one of his best movies, but I will say that this movie is funny. There are moments in here that are memorable and memorably funny. Like, there's a lot of good funny moments that I will still remember from this movie. Like when he's speaking gibberish at the dining room table because his brother Bradley Whitford's just fucking with him, and he's just talking gibberish. Like, that's funny to me. That's something that just holds up every time I watch it. It never not makes me laugh, but it has a lot of memorable lines, like today, Junior, and like all that. And like the scene at the end of the spelling bee where the guy is just like, I award you no points and may God have mercy on your soul. He goes on this long rant about how wrong he was on these fronts, but it's just like there are a lot of funny moments in here. I think my biggest problem with the movie is that I don't know. Billy Madison himself is not really much of a likable character in this movie. I mean, yeah, what he's trying to do, he's trying to complete 12 grades of school in order to get this ability to run the company from his father, played by the old man from The Christmas Story. And I don't know, I don't think they really did a good job of making him that much of a likable character. Like, in Happy Gilmore, you do like him, and you like that he is kind of a maniac, but he's also, in the end, kind of a good person, because he's trying to make sure that his grandmother has a place to live in, and since she's not living in this crazy now I can't remember it now. Why can't I remember it now? A crazy retirement home led by Ben Stiller. Good Lord. That's the one thing I hate about doing these videos, is that every time I think I know what I'm going to say, it just goes away out of nowhere, and I have to really think to myself, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? But yeah, that's what I was trying to say the whole time. But like I said, it's not a terrible movie. It's not even a bad movie. It is a funny film. I think it has a lot of good performances all around. Like, you can buy into the chemistry between him and Adam Sandler and Bridget Wilson. Bradley Whitford plays a fun villain. Norm Macdonald's very funny in here. Darren McGavin's also in here as well. I just personally don't think it's one of his best movies. I think it's a funny film. I think he's made a lot more enjoyable comedies than this one. But like I said, it's not a terrible movie by any means necessary. I just feel like there's a whole lot of other good Adam Sandler movies than this one. Like I said, I've liked the next movie he did after this, Happy Gilmore, but we'll get to that when we get to 96. But yeah, like I said, not a terrible movie by any means. In fact, far from it. It is still an enjoyable little comedy. I just don't think it's as good as many people give it credit for. I think there have been much better comedies from him besides this one. That's just my personal opinion, but that's the power of free speech. We can say whatever we want to. We can criticize whatever we want to. And that's the beauty of free speech and the internet. So, what was my point of even talking about that? But I don't know. I'm losing my mind right now. Anyway, let's move on. That's Billy Madison. Let's move on to the next movie, and that is Sharon Stone, Gene Hackman, and Leonardo DiCaprio in the Western The Quick and the Dead.
This is my town! You live to see the dawn is because I allow it. I decide who lives or who dies.
In a town called Redemption, death is a way of life. Some fight for money. Some fight for glory. But one stranger has come here, looking for something else.
I now declare the quick draw anybody.
Sign me up.
Sure must want to die young, miss.
She can play their game. Want to play poker with me, little lady?
Looks like you're having a pretty good time playing with yourself.
She can beat their odds. Did you ever kill anyone?
Sure.
I don't think you have. But there's one thing she can't do.
Why are you really here? You're no gunfighter.
Forget the past.
String him up. Put him on a chair.
Some people deserve to die.
TriStar Pictures presents Sharon Stone.
I'm gonna kill you if I have to ride all the way to hell to do it.
Gene Hackman.
There's nothing on this earth that frightens me now. Nothing.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Hey, my bad.
In a film by Sam Raimi. The Quick and the Dead. In this town, you're either one or the other.
I honestly forgot that Sam Raimi directed this movie. I mean, when you really look at this movie, you can't really tell that it is a Sam Raimi film. I mean, not even you don't even see like most of the usual Sam Raimi tropes, like the stuff that we're used to seeing from him. Until I noticed it now in this trailer, watching it again, you can see little bits and pieces of it, but for the most part, it's not really a whole lot there. But that's kind of what makes this movie kind of interesting. It's one of his more, I think it's more of an experimental film. It's definitely something outside of his norm. This is coming at a point when he was trying to trying to do a little bit more mainstream stuff, more experimental stuff. Like he had this, but he also did A Simple Plan, which is a much better film in my opinion. And then he did For Love of the Game, and then The Gift, and then eventually he would come back to kind of what he used to do best a little bit with the Spider-Man movies. But this is one of the first of those little experimental films, and I think it kind of works for the most part. Like, it's a movie that, it's very formulaic. It's a revenge story. You've got Sharon Stone playing the drifter coming into town, and she's going to fight the bad guy in this movie, Gene Hackman, he's kind of playing the same type of role that he did in Unforgiven, sort of. Not a lot though, but it's a pretty solid movie. I like seeing Sharon Stone in this type of a role. Like, I don't usually. It's like the last couple of movies that I've seen her in, it's been basically just Basic Instinct all over again. But here, she gets a chance to actually show that, hey, she can actually act in other movies and other types of films, and she actually plays pretty well against Gene Hackman. You also have Leonardo DiCaprio, Russell Crowe's in here as well. Robert Blossom from Home Alone, Lance Henriksen, Pat Hingle from Batman, Gary Sinise is in here, and part of the script is written by Joss Whedon too. I didn't notice that either, but like, it's a very entertaining film. It's a film that takes a little time to appreciate and realize that once you realize that this is Raimi trying to do something a little bit different from outside of his normal shtick, it actually does kind of work. It's an engaging film. It's a very formulaic script, but the actors put it together so very well, and you do like the action sequences in here. It's a nice little Western film. It's one that I'm glad I got a chance to revisit and actually realize that there's actually something there after all. But I was very surprised the first time I saw that this was actually by Sam Raimi, and it just shows his range too. It shows his range as a filmmaker as well. So that's The Quick and the Dead. Now let's move on to the last movie that we have here, and that is Danny Boyle's Shallow Grave.
Comfortable, Cameron? Yes, thanks. So tell me, Cameron, just tell me, because I'd like to know, what on earth could make you think we'd want to share a flat like this with someone like you? I'd like to ask you about your hobbies.
Why do you want a room here?
Do you smoke?
You must be Hugo.
So, I can have the room?
Yes, you can have the room.
Yeah, Hugo, can you open your door?
Alex, what are you doing?
Just looking.
Don't.
Don't look.
No.
It's not every day I find a story in my own flat.
It's not a story, Alex. It's a corpse.
It's a sick idea, Alex. It's sick. Go ahead then, telephone. Telephone the police. Tell them there's a suitcase full of money and you don't want it. I can't do it. It's been a struggle, but now our days of worry are over. To love and to happiness forever.
And the other 3 people living in the flat?
There are only 2 other people in the flat.
Make a note of that, Mitchell. Only 3 rather than 4.
They know.
It's all they know.
He's right, Alex. They know.
You're frightened. I'm not frightened. I'm a little terrified, maybe. They went up there alive and they came back down dead.
You looking for me?
If you can't trust your friends, well, what then? What then?
This definitely feels like a Danny Boyle movie. This actually has a lot. I can definitely tell there's a lot of influence that would later come into play with Trainspotting and A Life Less Ordinary. Danny Boyle overall is just a great director that can usually work very well in different types of genres. He could give you something straightforward like Yesterday or something like A Life Less Ordinary, or he could do something very stylistic like Trainspotting and A Life Less Ordinary. He could do a very dramatic movie like Slumdog Millionaire, 127 Hours. He could do horror movies like 28 Days Later, a great biopic in Steve Jobs, a sci-fi film in Sunshine. He's one of those great directors who can handle all these different types of he can handle all these different genres and make it work so well. And I think in this movie in particular, you could definitely see a lot of all of the things that would makes him one of those great directors that we've come to know him as, because he creates the stylistic, visually and pleasing mystery thriller. It's also a fun black comedy with Ewan McGregor and Christopher Eccleston involved in the cast. And it's a very simple story, but it's so unique and so creative in the way that he handles this that it's hard not to take your eyes off it, because it's hard to take your eyes off of it. Is that really what I say? It's hard to take your eyes off of... Yeah. It's a toy boat. It's hard to take your eyes off of the screen because you're so invested in how this is going to end and how this is going to transpire. And it does deliver a lot there. It's a very stylistic film, visually pleasing film, a great cast overall. It's a really enjoyable film. So that is Danny Boyle's Shallow Grave.
It's 1995. The world we know has changed.
Put on your Sunday best, kids. We're going to Sears.
But the Bradys never will.
Outside.
With Mike.
If your sister would wear her glasses, she just might improve her eyesight.
Carol.
Honey, I think you've stirred that enough.
I'm not stirring. I'm looking for Katie Carryall's underpants.
Greg.
This is a car, Jack. Of course this is a car. But my name's not Jack. It's Greg.
Bobby and Cindy.
So why don't you hop back on the Swiss Miss package where you belong, huh?
Okay.
Peter.
Lunch looks pretty rank. What'd you bring?
Pork chops and applesauce.
Jan.
Hi, everybody. The new Jan Brady.
Marcia.
Dinner's ready. Oh, my nose. I'm sure no one will ever notice. I'll never be a teen model.
And Alice. The Brady Bunch movie.
Marcia did it again. Marcia.
You know, honestly, I never really got into the Brady Bunch early on. Like, I did watch the show when it was on TBS and Nickelodeon, Nick at Night, TV Land, you know, the reruns in the 90s, because obviously I was way too young for the original run of the series, although I do remember the Christmas movie that was on TV back in the late 80s, early 90s, and, you know, honestly, I think what really made me come around to this series was when they put the entire franchise out in one DVD box set a couple years ago. It was just not just the TV series, but you also got the spin-offs, the specials, all the movies, the animated series was on there as well, all in this big box set, and it really kind of turned my whole view around on this show and how much that maybe I did like this show a lot more than I thought I did when I was a kid. But even then, I still thought these movies were pretty fun. Like, I remember watching these movies, renting them from my local video store, and I was just like, you know, even though I've never seen the show before, I can still get a lot of enjoyment out of this movie. I think it works, even if you're not the biggest fan of this series. I think it does help that if you are a fan of the show, you really will appreciate this a lot more. But honestly, I think this does what a really good TV adaptation should do. It's a mix of satirizing the old TV series, or basically any remake, really. Satirize the original film, but also celebrate it and modernize it in a contemporary way, which I think this movie does a very good job of meshing both of those together. And it really helps that they have a phenomenal cast to work with. I mean, who would have thought that Diane Chambers would have made a great Carol Brady, Shelley Long? Who would have thought that Gary Cole would be great as Mike Brady? The cast overall is just great. You got Christine Taylor as Marcia Brady, Prince Eric from The Little Mermaid, Christopher Daniel Barnes as Greg, Jennifer Lee Cox, who's been in a ton of stuff, as Jan. You also have Michael McKean, Gene Smart, James Avery from The Fresh Prince is in this as well. RuPaul is very fun in this movie. And you got some of the old cast members from the show back in this one, as well as old staples like Davy Jones, Mickey Dolenz, Peter Tork, the guest stars that used to be on that show. This is a really fun movie. These movies are really fun because you could definitely tell that the people who wrote this and made this movie have a good understanding of what the TV series was and how to modernize it for a new generation. And it helps because you have Bonnie Turner and Terry Turner, the two people who would later go on to create that 70s show and also Third Rock from the Sun, and Betty Thomas. Betty Thomas, of course, would later go on to direct Private Parts, Dr. Dolittle, The Late Shift, all these movies from the 90s and the early 2000s. And it's just a real fun movie. I think a lot of people were kind of turned off by it because it looked like because most TV adaptations back then didn't get the highest of praises. Like, there were some comparisons to the Beverly Hillbillies movies, which I thought the Beverly Hillbillies movies was fine, but this is definitely a much better film, and it works because you have such a good cast working off each other. The writing is top-notch. I mean, and there's even parts that seem like they were going to last is something that was going to last forever and has now become somewhat dated. Like, there's a part in the movie where they all say, put on your Sunday best for going to Sears, because Sears was still around in 1995, but not... Actually, is Sears still around? I'm not entirely sure. Even if it isn't, but if it is, it's very few and far between, but you get kind of an idea that they thought that Sears was going to be a thing that will last forever, and obviously that was not the case. But yeah, like I said, these movies are a ton of fun. I think even if you're not a fan of the Brady Bunch, even if you've never seen a full episode of the show, you could still get a good idea of what makes these movies so funny. Like, you could still enjoy it a whole lot, but I think it's best well earned if you've seen the show and you go more of an appreciation of what these movies were able to do. These movies are a ton of fun. I really enjoy these movies a whole lot, especially this first one, the Brady Bunch movie. Fantastic film. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend checking it out. So, with that said, let's move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is Sean Connery, Lawrence Fishburne, and Ed Harris starring in Just Cause.
Now, every step he takes puts his family closer to
Here's another one of those movies that suckers you in with a strong, strong cast. I mean, you've got Sean Connery, Lawrence Fishburne, Kate Capshaw, Blair Underwood, Ed Harris, Ruby Dee's also in here, Scarlett Johansson, one of her early film roles, Daniel J. Travanti, Ned Beatty, Chris Sarandon, George Plimpton, Lynn Thigpen. I completely butchered that name, I'm sorry. Lynn Thigpen. You got a great cast in here, and the movie starts off kind of promising at first, but it kind of falls into the typical generic mystery plot that you can kind of see coming. That you can kind of see where it's going to go. You can see where the twists and turns are going to be. You can find out easily who the killer's going to be right away. And it's just like, there really isn't a whole lot there to really appreciate in this movie. It's a waste of a really good cast. It starts off very strong in the beginning, but afterwards, it just feels like they just had to rush it out there because nobody wanted them to actually do a legitimate good mystery thriller that actually shocks you and does something completely different. And this movie really doesn't do that. It's a film that's just really lackluster on so many ways. I was really disappointed by this movie. I expected a whole lot more from it, but it's a huge disappointment on a number of levels. And the fact that Sean Connery turned down a role in Braveheart to star in this movie, it's just ridiculous. But some other interesting casting things I see here. Will Smith was actually going to play the guy who's in jail, the Bobby Earl Ferguson, who was played by Blair Underwood in this. And I mean, that could have been more interesting to see. But yeah, like I said, the fact that Sean Connery actually turned down the role of in Braveheart to do this movie is very underwhelming. But that's just kind of the way to look at this movie. Very underwhelming. So. With that said, let's move on to the next movie, and that is Disney's Heavyweights.
Far from the everyday world, there is a place where big...
Congratulations, Mr. Sims. You're the fattest boy in camp.
...is beautiful.
Chipmunks! Down low!
And thin isn't it?
This is definitely not cemetery.
For Jerry and his friends, it was a dream come true. Until the new owner...
That is out of here, mister!
Oh, no.
...turned it into a nightmare.
Lunch has been canceled today due to lack of hustle.
Now, after 6 weeks of frustration...
Then we're gonna climb that 1,000-foot rock face over there.
Starvation...
There isn't a gummy bear left in this entire camp.
And humiliation.
Nice swing, you fat tubbo.
Everyone having fun?
Jerry's out to do something far more important than lose a few pounds.
I have a plan.
He's out to gain respect.
What is going on?
You can't kidnap the owner of a camp.
Welcome to the annual Apache Relay.
We're as good as anybody. And it's about time we started acting that way.
Take him down, Cappy.
Walt Disney Pictures presents a comedy for every kid.
Tell me the artist and title, please.
Cher?
Da Vinci's Mona Lisa.
Tired of taking it.
I'm so slow. It would have been cool to go fast.
And ready to dish it out. Heavyweights.
Yeah, this is one of those movies where you really look back at it and you look at it and you realize, wait, Judd Apatow wrote this movie? Ben Stiller's in this movie too? You got Paul Feig in here, who's become a notable director since this movie came out. It's just like, you've got all this talent here. How have I never really heard about this movie? Well, there's kind of a good reason for it. This is written and directed by Stephen Brill, who this makes his first directorial effort, but he also wrote the Mighty Ducks movies previously. And I think one of the reasons why this movie doesn't work is mostly because it's two movies in one. This kind of reminded me a little bit of what the Camp Krusty episode of The Simpsons was supposed to be originally. It was supposed to be like the Simpsons movie, like the first original Simpsons movie. Like a lot of people don't know that episode of Camp Krusty was actually supposed to be a Simpsons movie, but unfortunately they couldn't figure out how to expand this movie into a 90-minute movie, and so they just made it the season premiere. I feel like this movie is trying to be like that, and it just really doesn't work because you have two different movies going on here. I think someone made a good point on this. You've got this spoof on like the Tony Little, Tony Robbins, Susan Powter style fitness merchant, and also a mix of mixing that in with a conventional family comedy that pokes lighthearted fun at chubby young campers, which is kind of why the movie is called Heavyweights. Well, obviously why it's called Heavyweights, but yeah, it just really feels like it's a movie that's trying to mesh these two things together, and it just doesn't quite work out. Ben Stiller has a lot of good, funny moments in this movie. You have a cast that also includes Kenan Thompson as well, and Jerry Stiller, Tim Blake Nelson. Who else is in here? Alan Covert, again, one from the Sandler Group. Judd Apatow is also in this as well, has a role in here. And you can definitely tell it's early Judd Apatow. It's a film, it's like the movie where he doesn't really have his best stuff at the start, but then as soon as he goes along, we get the good at Judd Apatow again. And it feels like a film that's a little bit too early in his career, and it just doesn't really, the spark just really isn't there, is what I'm trying to say. Like, there's two good ideas in here, but the meshing together just doesn't really come together as well as I think they wanted it to. It's a movie that has a lot of good ideas, but not a whole lot of good execution. It's a movie that I thought some parts of it worked okay, some parts were actually really funny, but honestly, when I look back on it, it's a film that's kind of like, I'm glad I saw it one time, because honestly, I really don't have a full need to watch it again. Like, I know some people do, but honestly, I feel like there was a lot of promise there, just not a whole lot of execution. And for Judd Apatow, I mean, usually he doesn't make a ton of bad movies. This is probably one of his lesser movies, but I don't hate it. I've seen a whole lot worse from him, honestly, especially recently. But we'll eventually get to those ones later on. So that's Heavyweights. Let's move on to the last movie that came out this weekend, and that is the documentary A Great Day in Harlem.
The giants of jazz were magicians in their own way, reaching out through their pianos, horns, and drums to cast a joyous spell over the hearts of America. And then one day, for what started as a publicity stunt for a magazine, 57 giants of jazz came together in one place at one time. It was a magical day that they would always remember, and that you will never forget. It was A Great Day in Harlem.
So this is a documentary about how Art Kane, who had passed on by this point, coordinated a group photograph of all the top jazz musicians in New York City in the year 1958 for a piece in Esquire magazine. And you have every jazz musician of the time period showing up in this photo, which took place in front of a brownstone near the 125th Street station. And the documentary compiles interviews of many of the musicians in that photograph, talking about that day, and it shows film footage taken from that day from Milt Hinton and his wife. And you got some notable people in here. You've got people like Quincy Jones doing some narration on this. You're following a ton of musicians here. Let me see if I can get the list here. As you can probably tell, I haven't seen this movie, so I can't really say too much about it, but there are some notable names in here. Dizzy Gillespie, Sonny Rollins, Buck Clayton, Art Blakey, Hank Jones, Art Farmer, Johnny Griffin, Chubby Jackson, Scoville Brown, Bud Freeman, Thelonious Monk, Ernie Wilkins, Robert Benton has an uncredited cameo in here. Just a lot of names in this movie that may sound familiar to some people, some maybe not, but you definitely know their work. And I really don't know too much about this particular story to really invest a whole lot into it, but I mean, it definitely could be something interesting. Like I said, I haven't seen it, so I can't really comment on it too much, but it came out this weekend, so that is A Great Day in Harlem.
I was born in Kyoto. My mother was of Chinese descent. I am known by reputation. My skill is unmatched.
Only been in Japan on business, and I thought you and I could do a little sightseeing.
Sounds nice, but it's impossible.
I've killed 100 men and women, never hesitating.
Before you kill me, let me see your face.
Or you're half dead, then you're the only witness to a murder.
Foreigner's alive. Bring me his head.
always helping him.
He's the descendant of a great samurai family.
Only I can save you. It's between him and me!
I will kill him tonight. I'm tired of running away.
Did this really need to be on a big screen? Especially a big screen and by Universal Studios? Like, what did Universal really see in this movie that made them say, oh, this has got to be put on a big screen. This is something that we just can't put straight to video or anything like that. No, this has to be on a big screen. I think maybe it was because of the person that made the movie, J.F. Lawton, who made his feature directorial debut on this particular film, but he also wrote notable films such as Pretty Woman, Under Siege, Blank Man, and he would write Chain Reaction that would come out the following year with Keanu Reeves and Morgan Freeman. And he also created VIP, the show with Pam Anderson in it. But, yeah, other than that, though, there's no reason for this movie to be seen in theaters. Like, this is something that looks like it could be a straight-to-video release, and that's it. Like, it's like nothing about the story screams out big screen. I mean, yeah, you got Christopher Lambert, but is he really a big star? I mean, yeah, Highlander and Mortal Kombat, but I don't know. He's not a person that really can sell a movie. Like, John Lone's a good actor, but I don't even think he's on the same level to actually save a movie like this. And Joan Chen's a good actress too, but none of these leading actors really scream out potential stardom or somebody that could sell a movie. And the movie doesn't do itself any favors either. I mean, it's basically a story we've seen done to death so many times before. There's nothing really all that it doesn't look like there's anything that engaging about it, but yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you on that one here. I mean, that trailer alone just shows you that there's literally nothing there that screams out, this deserved to be seen on a big screen. But I mean, I don't know. I just don't know. So that's The Hunted. So let's move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is The Walking Dead.
From the producers of New Jack City and Jason's Lyric comes a movie that's ahead of the action crowd. It's about war. It's about pride. It's about time the story is told.
First platoon is dead, POWs are gone, and we are decoys.
5 Marines set up on a suicide mission.
Somebody's working an angle here, my man.
It's a hot zone. Get ready to burn.
You are the killer. An assassin. An executioner. That's your job. You kill for a living.
I'm a purgatory. Suicide slum.
Overman, get out of here! What are you doing?
Like it or not, I'm saving you.
Joe Morton, Eddie Griffin, and Alan Payne. The Walking Dead.
Yeah, this definitely is not the zombie Walking Dead. I mean, because of the Walking Dead that we know, this movie kind of got tossed aside. Like, if you go into Wikipedia and type in The Walking Dead, you're just going to get everything from the AMC series and the graphic novels and all that, and this movie's just kind of buried deep. As you can see, it stars Alan Payne, Joe Morton, and Eddie Griffith. The film depicts the lives of 5 Marines who are all assigned to rescue a group of POWs during the Vietnam War in 1972, and the previews called it the Black Experience in Vietnam. And I mean, there could be a good story to be told here. The director of this is Preston A. Whitmore III, which he's directed a couple of notable films, mostly in the 2000s, stuff like Crossover and This Christmas. But other than that, though, there's not really a whole lot there in terms of notable films that he's directed. He's written a couple of other movies that we'll get to later on, including Fled in 96. But as far as this movie goes, I don't really know too much about it. But I don't know. I think there could be some interesting things in there. Like, you know, you got Alan Payne, you got Joe Morton, Eddie Griffith in here. Like, I usually know Eddie Griffith was more comedic stuff. I've never seen him really do a dramatic role before, so maybe there could be something there. But the reviews for this were not so good, so maybe it's one of those ones that's kind of a reason why it's been kind of buried. It's probably not that great. I mean, there probably could be a very interesting story to tell here, just not the right direction or the right script to actually work it out with, so... But other than that, I don't know too much about this one. I haven't seen it, so I can't really delve into it all that much. So, with that said, let us move on to the last movie that we have here, and that is Lamb, which has a very interesting history behind it.
Where are you heading to, anyway?
Home.
But you were always running away from your home. Why? Why?
Yeah, when I say interesting history, I mean this is a film that was made back in 1985, wasn't released until it was released in Ireland in 1986, as well as the UK, but didn't hit America until 10 years later in 1995. I mean, this movie is 10 years old. This is like way before Liam Neeson even became a known thing here in America. I'm guessing the studio released this movie after they saw the success with Schindler's List and recent stuff at the time, like Nell, those type of movies, and just said, you know what, let's put it out there. And God, I can't believe it took 10 years to actually put this movie out. But the basic plot of the movie, since there was literally no trailer for it, when I looked for it, I only found a clip of the full movie. But basically what happens, an Irish Reform School priest, played by Neeson, questions his calling as a young epileptic runaway arrives. Each recognizes the other as kindred spirits and escape together. As police close in and money dwindles, the desperate priest makes bad decisions. And that's literally the plot synopsis of it, and that's really all I know about this movie because I've never seen it before. And it's just weird. It's a weird thing to have a movie like this that's over 10 years old and doesn't get released in America until well after the movie's success. This feels like something that somebody could have dumped on one of those, those dollar DVDs you used to see where they would take these early movies with prominent actors, like you'd see William Shatner in a movie, and it's a recent picture of William Shatner on a film that he made way back in the day before Star Trek was popular. And you got stuff like that with Sandra Bullock, Jim Carrey, that type of thing. Like, I mean, this doesn't seem like a movie that could be that way, but I don't know. I don't really know too much about it because I barely even knew about it until now. It's got music by Van Morrison in it, so that's something. But yeah, other than that, I've got nothing for you. This is not a very good week for movies, as you can see. So anyway, Lamb.